Good evening, viewers and listeners. I am your host, Big Law Lawrence Johnson, and this is the Seven City Shoptalk Sports Show, coming at you live from the beautiful state of Virginia, broadcasting to you all over the state of Virginia and the beautiful world that we live in. Hey, we have a lot to talk about today. If you read the marquee, if you read what the comments were, and if you followed us on any of our handles from or our show from this weekend, it was pretty interesting, and there is some topics we have to cover. But before we get started, we want to thank you for joining us in another episode of our brand of dysfunctional camaraderie. And as of now, the shop is open. And like I said, as I'm your host, Big Law Lawrence Johnson, and let me go ahead and bring in Ed. What do you have for your opening monologue, Ed?
Not a whole lot, man. It's been kind of a tough week. So we as I said after the news conference, looks like I picked a bad day to stop drinking.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have to ask you why that. Let me come to you, Wood. What do you have for the opening monologue today?
Not a whole lot. Looks like I missed some things, so I'm tuned in to see what I missed.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, thanks for tuning in. So yeah, we okay. Well, let me come to you, Ed, first.
All right.
Why isn't that, why is it a bad day or so?
Well, no more Tony. Well, the wrong Tony. I'm sorry.
Elliot's gone?
The wrong Tony. No, you're not that lucky.
Well, that's definitely on our docket to talk about. Tony, for sure.
I hate to see somebody like Tony leave the game. Coach Bennett, that is.
For sure. So let's just kind of, speak about it. Let's. I mean, I guess we're not going to really ease into this, but if you guys remember, after the Clemson game, we all had a very spirited discussion about the state of the program before we even get into the UNC predictions, oldest rivalry in the South, and all that jazz. We'll get into that. Let's go ahead and just kind of keep some of this running. After the Clemson game, and you viewers and listeners that are out there paying attention, we really want your input on this. So the topics are, we want to talk about, let's discuss why the fan base was so upset. What's going on, Herman Bailey? Thank you for tuning in. See why everybody was so upset after that Clemson game. And we're going to talk about also the elephant in the room after that, and we'll get into that as well. We're talking to UNC, the UVA roll call, and we'll figure out, who's going to come, who's not going to come, and do a preview, do some predictions, and then we'll get into the Tony Bennett discussion, and kind of where are we and where do we think we are? So, and I'll let you go ahead and come in a little bit, Ed. Wood, just kind of getting the tail end of the conversation. After the Clemson game, it seemed like it's almost like we stepped on a rattlesnake. That is the University of Virginia is almost like a sore spot that we didn't know was there, that we should have been paying attention to previous games. And we all of us really kind of figured, we may not win this game, but we all kind of was in that position where, assume the position, we're going to get spanked, and let's get to the next game. We got to get 6. But it seemed like some of the conversations we all had were about the football program as a whole. We really didn't even concentrate on numbers for the game. It was really about the program. And, what Tony Elliott is, and what, and where and maybe not so much what Tony Elliott is. It was more like what, where the program is right now, and what the fan base wants based off of what they have shown, and it's almost like, you say one thing, but you don't support in another. So go ahead and kind of fill in a little bit what we were talking about, Ed. And we'll continue the conversation.
Okay. Yeah, you touched on it Saturday. What initially caught me off guard was not so much that the folks were unhappy about losing, but I would have, it was Clemson. It was number 10 Clemson at their place. Losing by 17 when the line was 20. Okay, we covered the spread. We still lost by 17, so it's really kind of hard to feel good about that. But I suppose if you want to cling to that, you can. I didn't. After the Louisville game, I could have understood it. After Clemson, yeah, there's problems with the offense. That's easy enough to see.
Right.
But short of a criminal conviction, I don't think they're going to make a change at midseason, at least as far as firing him. Now you may take away play calling duties, but we haven't seen or heard anything about that. If that's not the way he wants to go, that's you don't have to agree with it, but you do have to. Okay, it's his program. He's hurting himself if anything. So, I mean, I feel like Stevie Wonder could spot the problems with the team as far as the offense.
Okay.
Why they haven't made a change, I don't understand. But I just even with the problems on offense, we're still 4-3. When we did our preseason predictions, I went through the schedule and I think I said 5, and I didn't feel really good about the fifth one. I'm sorry. So we're still 4-3. Am I happy about the 3? No. But it's really frustrating because but they never do ask us, do they? There's problems with offense and consistency on offense. Why? I don't know why they're not doing it. I thought the offense would be a little further along than this. It's not consistent, and it's not. We wanted to run the ball, but we're not. Again, Clemson is a different animal.
Right.
It's
some of the folks in the chat already. Herman is saying, Mr. Bailey, he's saying Dez only does what Dez wants to do. He is holding the offense back, and for the program to grow, he needs to let go. Kobe Carnes is saying, thank you for tuning in, guys. He says, got to recruit bigger and bigger, better offensive line, defensive line.
That's definitely something we learned on Saturday.
Horrible in the trenches. Let me come to you, Wood. Let me come to Wood. Wood. Now you talk to me. You're kind of getting filled in a little bit. Some of these statements I get as well, but talk to me. Give me your opinion on what you're hearing and where things are kind of filling in for what you see.
No, I mean, you filled me in a little bit earlier about the backlash of the fans and all that. I get it. I get the frustration, but like Ed said, I mean, the Clemson game is not the game you would expect for that to reveal itself. Like he said, you're at the number 10 team in the country in their place, 20-point underdogs. You covered the spread, and, I'm not a moral victory guy by any means, but for everything to avalanche into this big deal, that wouldn't be the game I would expect for it to happen. I would expect you lose to Richmond, William & Mary, then you have those conversations. But what happened was expected to happen. Yeah, offensive play calling has been a problem all year. Des Kitchen has been a problem all year. I've been preaching that since last year. But that's not the issue
before that.
Right, but that's not the issue at this time. I mean, I don't understand why all of a sudden we lost to Clemson on the road by whatever it was, 17 points, and we're 20-point underdogs, and now everybody wants to,
now it's a problem.
Red flags and Tony Elliott, Des Kitchens, everybody needs to be fired. That may be true, but Clemson wasn't the game to say that. I mean, what happened was expected to happen. So, I missed Joe's conversation on Saturday, but I mean, looking now, I mean, Clemson, I mean, that's exactly what we expected to happen. And to be honest, I mean, from my perspective, we have more wins than I predicted us to have, and I'm not saying it's a great season by any means, but I still think you got to get a bowl game or you got to have serious questions answered. But we're not as far as behind as a lot of people thought we would be. And coming back to the fans with, empty stadiums and recruiting better guys. I mean, yeah, that all sounds great, but we got to get better offensive linemen and defensive linemen. Yeah, you sure do, but you're not going to get them at 4.5 GPAs and 2,300 SATs. It's not going to happen at Virginia. So I think as fans, we need to reset our expectations at some point.
That's what I was trying to say. And I get, being upset after a loss. And we just said it, what type of a loss was it? There are no, like you said, there are no moral victories, but this was a loss that we 99 or 95 that aren't, percent of the fan base is not delusional, kind of understood. You're going in to play Clemson. You're going into Death Valley. Okay. And we were only going to do but so much based off of what they were and what they had. They actually had the lead midway through the second quarter before Clemson started being Clemson. People were upset. Yeah, people were upset about the kids in the trenches. Based off of what we were talking about at the beginning of the year, this is the best Virginia line in the past 3-4 years. Because remember, when Tony Elliott got here, every lineman that was really worth something, left. All of them. All the starters left. Then the year after that, what was that?
The whole starting offensive line.
Absolutely. And then the year after that, it was COVID, it was the tragedy.
Yeah.
All the linemen left again. Then there was COVID, right? We had COVID. So then, so we have people leave, come and go then. So we're, totally at a point now where the coaches are trying to rebuild, with an offensive, an offensive line that they really did not really have a grasp on or they could put their arms around until now, where we have some consistency. This is the first year we've had consistent linemen in the program that have time, that have played, at least 5 guys that have played in the system that are returning. So, or at least more than 5 guys, because they have more than 5 guys. So now that you have that, and one guy is considered an all ACC player, second or third team. So, now that you have that, how are we supposed to really build based off of who we are? And that's the question I got to ask the fan base. I get it, y'all. We want to be big, bad in the trenches. We want to be, the big, bad defensive lineman was pushing our guys around. And the offensive linemen that Clemson had, they were, road grading us as our defensive guys did exactly what, or did what they could. And Clemson, did exactly what they wanted to. And then the question asked, what are we going to be? Which leads me to my second subject. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, and the elephant in the room is
the Raiders.
No, not the Raiders. This is still Wahoo related. No. Is the University of Virginia and all of their supporters and everything they have to offer student athletes, and the emphasis on athletes, are they willing to sell their souls to the football gods?
No.
Is UVA willing? And this is a question from me and everyone else who says, hey, this team should be better, or we want better recruiting. You understand that recruiting just doesn't happen just because we want it. Something major has to happen on a level much higher than what we are asking for. Is UVA willing to sell their souls to the football gods to be a football power? Now, let's talk about what that entails. Matter of fact, let me ask my man Wood, who has a great football mind like myself. What would that require? And I'm going to get you too, Ed. You have a great mind for football, for sports as well, football too. But I want to come to Wood and kind of get Wood's idea of, if we're going to sell our souls, our football souls, something that we're complaining about, give me just a couple things that Virginia football athletics would have to do to play big boy football to where we can say, beat Virginia Tech, recruit better in the state, win 10 games a year, 8, 9, 10 games a year. Come on, Wood, talk to me. What are the things that UVA is going to have to do to sell their soul?
Yeah, I mean, when you say big boy football, I mean, I guess you got to define what that means. It's definitely not going to be.
All right, let's define that.
It's not going to be defined by UVA's parameters right now. There's no way, and like Ed said, there's no way we're going to do what it takes to be a. I won't even say powerhouse. I'll say a legit contender in the ACC right now at this point. If you're talking 8 to 10 wins, what you're going to have to do?
Give me a few. Give me 2 or 3. I mean, and then we're going to let Ed get a few because I know Ed has a few.
That's pretty simple. You're going to have to lower your academic expectation.
Boom. That's the biggest one possibly, but keep going.
I mean, whether you do it across the board for all sports or football in particular, that's what you're going to have to do. Will we do that? Hell no. We'll never do that. You're going to have to get and winning brings people to the stadium. So if you drop the academic expectations, you hit
big winning.
Tidewater area, you hit, people leaving out of Lynchburg, 5 stars going to North Carolina has ate our lunch in recruiting because of that. Not saying they lowered any expectations, but maybe they did. I mean, we know it. We know schools in the ACC that have lowered their academic expectations. Let's not play games and say they didn't, but UVA will never do that. So, number one, you got to lower academic expectations. You got to stop asking these 4.5 doctors and lawyers to line hit up with these country boys that feed cows for a living with 3.0 GPAs at Tech, and they will kill us every time, and they've done it for 25 years. You got to lower you got to lower that expectation. You got to get pure talent in UVA. And you got to have coaches that learn how to coach them. But it's a whole lot easier to coach those athletes when it's just raw ability. When you're trying to take these 2 stars out of New Jersey like Al Groh did and put them against 4 and 5 stars, say in Clemson, like you saw Saturday. Dabo's not into the portal, but he does it his way. But he gets those 4 and 5 stars, and we don't consistently get them. We'll have a 4 every now and then, maybe a 5 like Traquan Mazzell, people like that. But to get a whole group of those guys together to actually compete to 9, 10, 11 wins a year, that's what you're going to have to do. But we're never going to do that. So why are we talking about this?
Well, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good start because that's exactly what I was thinking about as far as selling your soul to the football gods. We say what we want. We say, hey, this is what we want. Maybe even this is what we're expecting, but we're not doing what we're supposed to do on our end as followers, supporters, season ticket holders, whatever. We're not even showing up for support for a program, So let me come to you, Ed, before I get on my rant. Give me an idea, selling your soul to the football gods.
As a resident old head, we have they've always made a point of emphasis with that the players were student athletes. Student comes first,
right?
And it hasn't been recently, but there was a time when UVA seriously considered dropping football. It wasn't that long ago that we considered dropping baseball. Probably hard to imagine that now, but at one point in time, they were seriously considering just we're not going to deal with baseball. I think there is a way to do it. I think 8 wins year in and year out is possible. 10 wins might come along once a decade or something like that, but it's possible. I think a lot of people had given up SMU for dead. They're what, 3-0 in the conference, 4-0 in the conference now, something like that.
Yeah.
Stanford usually I think this might be an off year for Stanford, but they had an extended period of success, not just with football, with all of their academic program, with all their athletic programs. I'm sorry.
They still do. They're just down in football.
Yeah, the football is down, but the men's and women's basketball teams are always solid. The baseball team is usually at least at regionals, if not super regionals. Where is Stanford finding these kids? Is it a function of being in California? Do we need to expand our recruiting base? Like I said, they're never gonna take a kid. What was the kid? The basketball kid, Chris Washburn, was that his name? I think it was. There's basketball back when I think Jeff Jones was the coach.
Talking about Jamal Mashburn?
No, it was Chris Washburn, not Jamal. Chris Washburn, was a big kid from, I think it was Carolina, and Virginia got him to come here, and I think they were playing. There was a pickup game over the summer, and somebody pulled out a box cutter, and somebody else got cut, and you won't see the likes of a Chris Washburn again. They're not going to take a kid and say, well, we'll get him through school. I think what they're going to have to do, as far as the athletics and the recruiting, we make a big point of pitching that academic reputation, that public ivy. I think a lot of people, Clemson probably included, use that against us.
Yeah.
Like we've been saying, 6'5", 300-pound guys that can pull a 4.0 at a major university like UVA don't grow on trees. There's a couple out there, but you're going to be fighting. You're going to be fighting Alabama's, Georgia's, Texas. You're going to be fighting all the blue blood programs because they have academics and they have a winning football team. We just have academics. I've heard some noises about maybe offering a few new majors for kids because not everybody wants to be an architect, not everybody wants to go to med school, not everybody wants to go to law school.
Right.
We need doctors, we need lawyers, but we also need bridge builders, we need programmers, we need coders, we need all kinds of stuff. Right. I think they're going to have to get a little creative as far as the academic side. You may have to take some chances on some kids. Okay. I don't think Ralph Sampson was pulling a 4.0 at Harrisonburg High School when he got here. Ralph's not an idiot, but he's not. They were not saving a spot in the med school for him.
UVA was blessed because he was born in state because he's an in-state kid. He was an in-state kid,
literally just down the road, and obviously wanted to stay close to home.
Right.
That kind of athlete is going to be the exception rather than the rule. So you're going to have to find a way to pitch the academic standard with degree programs that these kids might be interested in.
Well, this is the thing. I'm not trying to cut you off, but this is the thing. And we love Ralph. Ralph is the legend. For actually, he's the face of Virginia sports.
Love the big fella.
You know what I mean? Chris Long. I'm trying to think of a face of the football program over the past 30 years. You know what I mean? We don't have one. Let's talk. Let's really dig into what that means. You have had some of these higher end programs, athlete class after athlete class, and they have had legends come through recently. Throughout 20, 30 years. We have like one legend, really from basketball from 40 years ago. We have maybe one legend we've got Poindexter, okay? And Poindexter.
Brother.
Yeah. Are you talking about Tiki and Rondé? But outside of that, they're so long ago. When do we really have? When was the last time we really had a legend that is like, where they like so transcendent that they're larger than life? We don't have that in our football program. Barely have it in basketball, and that's really one person. You know, um, and my statement was to bring that kind of talent in here and to grow a program. First thing you need to do, and I heard this, these are rumblings, these are not confirmed by me, but they're looking for a CEO. They're looking for a CEO for the university, I believe. These are some rumblings throughout the media community that we've heard, where they're looking for somebody to totally just run athletics like a CEO when it comes to NIL, transfer portal, not the coaches. The coaches can put in their
Just out of it.
Well, not out of it, but they can put in their request ticket. No, they're going to work closely with from what I understood now, a little bit here, where the coaches will work closely with the CEO based off of, sending in their ticket of what they want or who they want. But the calling, the keeping up with the money, keeping up with, doing all the all the NIL work that needs to be done, the over recruiting that needs to be done. A CEO and his crew, his team is responsible for that. So with the coaches, because some bigger universities that are into this kind of have that, and the coaches can coach, because that's all the coaches really want to do. That's the problem right now with Tony Bennett. Tony Bennett is done with the bullshit. He says, "Man, look, I'm tired of this. He said he pretty much said he's a dinosaur. And I'm not." And it was a very honorable thing that he did to step down and say, I can't give these kids everything that they need based off of their landscape, what it is, and based off of who I am, and what my beliefs are. So he didn't want to short the kids in any way. Some people may get upset with him because they say, hey, it's 2-3 weeks before the year. But he understood if he couldn't do it the way that it needs to be done 100%,
Yeah.
He totally stepped down. It's one of the most honorable things that somebody can do, because believe me, Tony Bennett could have been stealing money from the University of Virginia for the next 5 years. He would still have been one of the highest paid coaches in the ACC, and we would have took 500, record from Tony, and his heart would have been halfway in it, and he would have been stealing money from the university, and we still would have accepted it. So for him to step down and do what he did, so that we could possibly get past what he's going through, and to put his legacy, his everything that he has put ahead of him and the program on top instead of himself is huge, absolutely enormous what he did. So, but we had a CEO. That's the one thing that I heard that is in the works. Having somebody here to work the NIL, work the transfer portal. Coaches are going to tell the CEO and their team what they need. Okay, because this is so much of a business now that is sickening. But somebody has to be in charge of the asylum. Okay, so coaches can still do what they have to do.
Somebody's got to step up and be Lawrence Johnson, huh?
Oh gosh, I wouldn't know what to do if I was ever offered anything like that. So, also, the standards. How are we going to handle these standards? Could it be, and this will go over, like, as Ed would say, like a lead balloon, where maybe you lower some standards a little bit for just the athletics program. That is not going to go over well.
No.
Okay. Number 3, you got to hire a big time coach. You're going to have to sell your soul, as I said earlier, for a big time coach. Would you bring in an Urban Meyer with all the baggage? Who knows how to recruit? I mean, he's out there. Bobby Petrino. I said Bobby Petrino. Another coach who knows how to win big time. Would you approach a Chip Kelly? Try to hire him off the Ohio State staff. Ed Orgeron? Would you go after some of these guys who have recruited big time, won big time?
You imagine Ed Orgeron at a VAF function? Oh my God!
But that's that wine and cheese I'm talking about. Do we want to keep our persona? Are we so into being UVA in our persona that we're gonna be happy with fielding half of a stadium full of fans because we're only winning 4, 5, 6 games a year, 4, 5 games a year? Something has to change because we can't have it both ways.
No,
we can't complain that we're not winning in the trenches, but we still want to pump our chest and say we're one of the higher academically infused institutions in the nation. So what is it going to be? Are we going to all of us, and I mean the university included, go all in, sell our souls to football, and the fans buy those damn tickets and show up, okay, and become a true football school? See, the school across the state in the West, they sold their souls a long time ago. They said, that's fine. We'll be farmers. But you know what? We're going to be football players, and we're going to win the state. They made that commitment. That facility that they have, they've had that facility for 10 years, 15 years. Okay? So, what are we? We have to answer that question. Viewers and listeners, you guys throw those comments in there as well. What do we want to be? Go and answer some of that, Wood. Go ahead. I know you probably got something to say about some of this.
No, I mean, to answer your question, we are who we are, and that's who we're going to be. I mean, we're going to get what we thought was a big hire to Tony Elliott. We're going to win, now 4 to 6 games. If we get, 6 games, we go to the Mayo Bowl and we win, we have a good time. Hey, our stadium's half empty, but hey, we won 6 games. We got a good recruiting class next year, and they're like 80th in the country. I mean, it is what it is. Maybe we'll win 8 games next year. We'll have a quarterback, in his 3rd year. We're going to do great things. But, I mean, that's the expectation of UVA football. That's what we are. We're never going to answer your question, we're never going to do that. We're never going to lower expectations. We're never going to do NIL where we're going to outbid anybody. And then with Tony leaving, we're still not going to – and he knew that. That's why he left. We're not going to pay this big money to basketball players. We're not. We're going to settle on our morals of we're UVA, we're 4.0. You get this degree, even though Tony did send guys to the NBA, that suits him well, but we're not going to pay big money. We're not going to lower academic expectations. So as fans, we have to accept who we are and stop being unrealistic. In this day and age, until we do those things, we are who we are. This CEO, we'll see if they do that. If they go this route, we actually start ponying up big money, then we'll probably see a change. But in my opinion, we're not going to do that. And then if you do that, when you start pounding, like Tony was saying, Bennett, when you start spending big money, is what he was saying without saying it, for football, basketball, you're taking away from the Olympic sports. You're taking away from other sports where you're putting all your money into basketball and football. Are those programs going to go away? Like Ed mentioned earlier, we almost got rid of baseball anyway. Are they going to go away?
No, they're not going to go away because once football, supposedly, because football pays for everything, you start making that extra money, you start going to bowls and bigger bowls, that's going to pay for everything and even more.
Well, not if you have to continue playing players, that money that you made.
No, I think if you start winning and you'll make more than enough money to keep the pro. I mean, right now we're not making any money. We're making money, but it's but look at the state of the football program. You know what I mean? I mean, and the other Olympic sports are doing just fine.
Right, but we're not spending money on football either.
No, they're spending some money. No, they spend some money, but they're not. No, I mean they put the last 3-4 years they put a lot of money out based off of what we typically do. Okay,
no, I'm talking about players.
There is some money that they've put out, believe it or not. I actually had another conversation about some of the guys. Basketball program, they put some money out to get those guys here, and that's kind of probably why Tony got a little bit fed up because there is some money that was put out. football. There has been some money put out to players. I don't
my
have
point
the
is,
numbers.
to get where we want to be as unrealistic UVA fans, we're going to have to do that 20, 30 fold what we're doing now, and I don't see us doing that.
And that brings me, this is a great segue, Chad Wood, because I even looked into what we are. You know, we talk about who are we? What are we? You know, UVA, what are we proud of? You know, we're proud of being wine and cheese, as they would say. Or if you don't want to say we're wine and cheese, we're proud of being a somewhat affluent, right? Isn't that the right word, Ed? Affluent?
Zima.
We are in a
For Zima.
somewhat of a public. Well, we are a public Ivy in my eyes, but we're also being an affluent university. You know, we are well behaved, we're well mannered, we are you know, no, compared to we are gentlemen and gentlewomen. Whatever we are, you know, ladies, I mean, we are very, very very, very nice. But when you talk about money, right? You know, let's kind of bring it into perspective here. Let's just name a top program that wins a lot, wins big, right? I'm gonna pull up Alabama. Let's say Alabama, right? Where's our money is our endowments, right? That's like our money in the bank. That's what we are worth. That's if you're a university worth your salt, your endowment needs to be thick and dripping. Correct?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Guess what? Just take a guess what Alabama's endowment is.
A couple billion.
Okay, that's a good guess. Alabama's endowment is 6.1 billion. Okay. Now this is a power, right? Big time power. All kind of pageantry, legendary. Okay. Another one, Ohio State, 7.9 billion. Okay. A lot of that football money. Both of those schools.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about Oregon, right? They're endowed.
Well, they have Nike,
you would think Phil Knight, Nike, everything. Their endowment, 1.75 billion. You would think Oregon is one of the wealthiest schools, you know, in the entire world.
The dialogue has always been, you know, they've got Nike money.
There you go. And it's 1.7 billion.
Apparently, Phil's not sharing all of his money.
Listen, USC, okay? The Trojans, legendary pageantry, all-time, big-time football, 1.4044 billion.
That's all?
That's all.
$1 billion, that's all.
Our neighbors across the street, or down the street, you know, across the state, 2.68 billion.
Okay.
Penn State, 4.57 billion. Another public type Ivy school.
Okay.
Guess what Virginia's is? $14.2 billion.
Wait a minute.
Have the money.
UVA has money?
So
what?
So in Wood, when you say, oh, it's gonna throw things off, and you got colleges that are winning big time, super big time, way more big time than us, and they have a quarter of our endowment. We have the resources. Do we want to sell our souls? That's the question I keep asking. We have the money. Are we so caught up in being a wine and cheese school, or a school that is so caught up in its academics that football really isn't going to matter? My man James Watson. The question is, how much does Virginia truly care about football? There you go. Boom. He said it took years to get a modern, there you go, football facility. For unknown reasons, Bronco left while improving the team. As a diehard fan, local residents and alumni, it seems like nothing changes. They really need to start $5 tickets. Sure, absolutely. Kobe, no offense, our fan base is old. We're not. We're okay. We're not getting younger. Okay, he's right. You know, in our generation, fans like at VT need to find a way to get younger in generation. I had an idea.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, Kobe says he agrees with you, James. But yeah, my thing is, $14.2 billion. We got the money.
Yeah.
We have the money, and the money's still coming. The difference is our money is not made in athletics. It's made from those doctors, those lawyers,
Stockbrokers.
Stockbroker, whatever, anything other than athletics. So we have the funds to bring in a big time coach, to pay players what they need to come to this school. So the vehicle is there. Are we going to get over ourselves and become a football program? Because as I look at endowments and I look at different programs that have power football programs, some of these schools don't even have a quarter of the money we have. Like I said, the ones who've been eating our lunch, which is Penn State, they have 4.57. We are at 14.2 billion. You know what? I know I need to look up North Carolina. Let me look at UNC's endowment. And Virginia Tech, who's been eating our lunch for 20 years, 2.6 million.
In fairness, they've been growing our lunch too. So
who has
it? They've been growing our lunch too.
Oh my God. And UNC, 5.3 billion. Now, all those other schools, no, that's not bad, but they show way bigger. Their presentation for football and what they put out is so much more attractive to kids. They do so much more. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You would think that, wow, UNC, you see light blue and it's just seas of light blue and the money they put out behind it and what they're doing for it. Same thing with Virginia Tech.
I hate that blue.
But it's outrageous how how they show and how we show. But we have the resources to be that way. I don't know. But those are some of my questions I have to ask.
Well, yeah, that I didn't realize. I knew Virginia had money. I didn't realize they had quite that much.
Right.
I've always said if it was in Charlottesville and Albemarle and UVA didn't own it, it wasn't worth having. Part of me, they could definitely do more than they are doing.
And before you get going, I'm going to say we're actually the younger brother of Stanford. Let's just call it kind of what it is from a.
Oh, don't tell them that.
Well,
they won't. That won't go over well. You can compare them with Harvard if you want.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's not say younger brother of Stanford. Let's just say Stanford, UVA wants to strive to be like Stanford all the time. How about that?
Yeah.
You know what Stanford's endowment is? Which they are like a public Ivy, where academics are super high. Okay?
Yes.
$37.6 billion in endowment.
Wow.
We're like a third of them.
37 billion.
Exactly. So those folks out there, you can't tell me that UVA don't have the resources or will the other sports suffer.
I mean, well, it's maybe the question is like I was saying on Saturday, maybe Stanford is the model.
Stanford's the model. That's why I was saying I didn't want to.
If Stanford can do it, why can't we?
Right. Exactly.
Why can't we? I don't know this for a fact, but it's always sort of been my impression that you have two camps at UVA. You have the nerds, the brainiacs, and you have the jocks. And the nerds don't respect the jocks because they think they're just a bunch of big dumb football players, and the big dumb football players don't respect the nerds because, well, they're nerds. Anybody who thinks that football players are big and dumb has never studied a football playbook.
Right. And look at James. Look at my man James.
You cannot be that. You cannot be up to speed on all of that stuff and the option calls and the wrinkles off of the wrinkles and be an idiot.
You may have James
yeah,
Watson dropping jewels.
You cannot. And it's hard enough to get through UVA as it is without devoting major chunks of your day, week, month, year to a sport that your peers maybe do or don't respect. There's got to be some sort of a coming together of the jocks and the nerds.
Sure.
Yeah, it's not easy being a student athlete. I don't care what the sport is. If you're going to be good at your sport, that's taking time away from your classwork, and the classwork is hard enough for the regular kids, much less somebody who's trying to carry that load and play a sport.
Come on, Wood, come through on that.
No, piggybacking off what you said, I'm not saying we don't have the money. The question is, will we spend the money on these sports?
Right.
It's more the will than the money.
No.
There you go. Even if we got to keep our academic standards up, which is really what their pillar, what they talk about, maybe throw the money. Start putting the money out.
Smart people need money too.
My man Nate the Great, he says, I'm not convinced that we're 100% to success at the highest level. If we have to come off some of those. My statement exactly. And that's why I wanted to bring this exercise out. Are we willing to sell our souls? And think about it like this. There's another smaller elephant in the room that will become a bigger elephant in the room. Okay. Attendance is down, way down. Probably the least I've seen it since I've been alive at the University of Virginia. Right. This is the smallest crowds ever, since whenever. Okay.
It's been a while. Yeah.
Tony Bennett just retired. Okay.
Oops.
Ron Sanchez takes over. Nothing against Coach Sanchez. We appreciate him. Thank you for being part of the program again, coming back. And he's going to try to continue that legacy. Awesome. Cool. But
don't suck.
That's right. Don't suck. But also, what makes you think that people are going to still show up for Coach Sanchez? That's a smaller elephant that could be a lot bigger pretty quick. Because if football is going to do this, these are the same type people. What makes you think that if they don't continue to win similar to what Tony has won, that they're going to start shrinking? Okay? Football is shrinking. They're going to have to do something to keep all the athletics. And you know what saves athletics? Good football programs.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking it's going to come to a head. It may take 3 years where they're going to have to go all in on football. You heard it here first.
Kill them.
10/22, 2024 at 9:24. Someday, soon, and I mean soon is like 3 years, if basketball shrinks, because basketball pretty much kind of covers itself, okay? Football covers, believe it or not, they kind of cover themselves, but the money could be so much higher. And if football can get to a space where they're making the money they expect to make, so they can pay for everything. And if basketball falters at all, you'll still have football. But if basketball falters, football's is faltering right now, where do we go? You're going to have to do what some of these other schools like a USC, like in Alabama, Ohio State, go all in, Virginia Tech, go all in on the football program, because you got to keep your athletic programs going and put all your resources into football so you can pay for everything athletically. Just a small elephant right now, but it will, I'm telling you, it could get into a larger elephant in the room, especially with Tony retiring. That was in my mind. I'm like, well, they're giving up on football. What makes you think they're not going to give up on basketball now that the Golden Boy's not there?
And if we're thinking it, the other schools are thinking it.
Ain't no doubt about it. What you got anything to say about that, Ed? I mean, I would.
No, I mean,
that
you're
a
exactly
theory?
right.
Is that a theory?
And I think
okay.
it'll be faster in 3 years, to be honest. But
okay.
You know, the things we talk about with football, you know, there's one answer and one answer only, and that's money. We can talk about 4 or 5-star recruits. We can talk about parking. We can talk about concessions. We can talk about anything you want to talk about. When it comes down to money, are we going to spend the money that we know we have? And traditionally, the answer has been no. So now you have Sanchez taking over. I don't even think he's going to be given a fair shake to begin with. Maybe this is
Possibly
a topic
not.
for later on, but
No.
I think it's going to be faster in 3 years because what are your expectations for the basketball team? Again, it may be later on, but
true.
I don't think our goal has been defined right now. And if he doesn't, I think that was a weird transition. I think Tony set this timing just to make sure Ron Sanchez has 1 year. And I think that's all he's guaranteed. So, if we don't meet whatever that expectation is, there may be a national search next year, and it may start the ball rolling quicker than 3 years.
That's right. That's right. See, now things are weird and wicked when Wood and I really start jiving on the same wavelength when it comes to this.
I'm trying to figure out who the hell you people are.
Right. But that's where my mind went. My man James chimes in again. I think the TV money, okay, and the conference money may keep UVA breathing. Hard to know because UVA had mediocre football, basketball through the early 2000s. It kind of just is what it is. You're right, James. You're absolutely right. But in order to really make it the way that UVA, the way they think of themselves, they need to put the outlay of money out there to get to where they want to get to what they say they want to be.
It's fine to have high standards, but high standards come with high prices.
There you go.
I don't think it's going to be one. I'm not entirely sure what the cure is, but I think it's going to take everybody coming together, or it's not going to. If you don't fix the facilities problem, you're not going to fix you're not going to be able to operate at the level you're accustomed to. You're not going to have the fans because the common wisdom is, oh, there's nowhere to park. Okay, fix that problem. Build a parking garage maybe. If only we had an architecture school. But wait, we have a business school. There should be integrate all of this stuff and use what you have already in house. You have some really smart people at the architecture school. I bet they could figure out a way to integrate a parking garage into the area around Scott Stadium.
No, they can do anything that they want. Look, Virginia has the funds to do whatever they want. It's just a matter of, are they willing to put the money out there?
Getting something like that built in Charlottesville might be a neat trick, but I think the university could probably throw enough weight around to bend folks to their will.
Absolutely, and I'm gonna look up a school, right, that probably is as loaded, or maybe even more loaded in state. Oh no, I don't know what the hell I'm thinking. I was thinking about Liberty. How much money did Liberty have to throw out there to get up to speed to go full blown D1? Their endowment is $2.1 billion, 2.169, or excuse me, 3.5 billion.
Well,
so think about that. With all those nice facilities, their successful football program, all that, and they're putting all of their money into their football program, and it shows, right?
Yeah.
Liberty is putting out a great beginners Division I product out there.
Yeah, it's a solid, respectable effort.
And they get ranked, and they are competitive. And
a lot of
people, they got bowl game, go to bowl game. Nobody wants to see them. And they're at $3.5 billion in endowment. And we're sitting up here at 14.2.
14, yeah.
14.2.
Don't go to the digit now.
No, gosh, that's too much. There's a lot of money. You're missing the digit.
It's
You're
not gonna
moving the
be
decimal point.
one thing.
Yeah.
It's not just NIL. It's not just the academics. It's not just paying the coaches. It's the bigger question is, do they have the will?
Yep.
I don't know. I'd like to think they do, but I haven't seen a whole lot of evidence of that yet.
I've seen evidence of them. I've seen some evidence of them starting to pop open the top. Okay, because with the facility, they upgraded the stadium with the big vision, and they're trying to make the experience. That's kind of the scratching the surface of it, but they also have to continue to put the money in the back end stuff, meaning into bringing in higher end and competing for higher end athletes, and that may mean having to throw more money out there. Whether or not we're willing to do it,
that's a good question.
That's another story, man. This has been such a long and deep subject that we're at 56 minutes into the show. We haven't even got to our UNC predictions, and we probably won't get to Tony until next show. Okay,
that's okay.
So let's get into. So you ready to get into our predictions, Wood?
Somebody wake up, Wood.
Sure.
So let's get into our predictions. That UVA conversation about who we are, what we want to be, that goes so deep that some folks may be turned off about the conversation because UVA does not want to change just like all colleges don't want to change their identity. We don't want to do what Liberty did. You know what I mean? Liberty went all in on football because they wanted big time football, and they're part of the state in Lynchburg. So they went all in 100%.
Yeah.
UVA has the mentality of we're academic. We're so academic.
Yeah. That might be the biggest hurdle to overcome. You're going to have to get past that. Well, we can't, we're wasting money on athletics. No, you're not.
The old guard. It has to be it's the old guard has to retire in order for us to have any kind of change like that. But look, this conversation is not over because UVA is 4-3. They need 2 more games to get to a bowl game.
Okay,
and this is one of the games that they definitely need to get. They don't get this game.
I think you get one of them Saturday.
Well, they don't get this game. I feel like it's not going to happen. So UNC coming in, Mac Brown's possible last year. Coaching at UNC. UNC is kind of having a down year. They've been hurt by injuries. They do have a stellar running back who actually leads the ACC, I believe, in rushing. So we got to watch out for that. So let's just go ahead, man. Let's get some predictions going. Let me come to you, Wood, first. Give me a prediction for the score for the game. And are you coming?
50-50. My son plays at 8, depending on how long that goes. I'm planning to come. We got Clary back at safety. It's a big plus. But
thank you, Jesus.
What's that?
I said, thank you, Jesus.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Clary's back, apparently, on the depth chart. Go 24-21 Tar Heels.
24-21 Tar Heels. Okay.
Attaboy, Skip.
All right. Let me come to you, Ed. Prediction.
31-13 Virginia.
31-13. Okay.
All right, Stephen A.
My prediction.
People like Stephen A.
Ed, are you sure this is what you want? Are you sure that's the score that you want? Stephen A. So
I can't do Stephen A. It's gonna you don't want that. None of us want that.
You're supposed to do Mad Dog.
Mad Dog Russo?
Yes.
I might could pull that off.
Now they're a hoot to watch. But
I can pull that off.
My prediction, I'll say 34-24 UVA wins. I think they get off the schneid. They lost 2 in a row. Then they get their 5th win. And still are going to try to figure out where they can get that last win in those last 4 games left. I'm doing the 4 horsemen here. You got SMU, you got Virginia Tech, you got Notre Dame, and the other ranked team,
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Woo! All of them are ranked schools except UVA, except Virginia Tech, which is our rival. So you need this one. If we don't get this one, it's looking grim. So I plan on being there, and I'm looking for a victory. I'm looking for them to play some football where, in an article I saw, they're also saying they want Calandria to open it up a little bit. They want him to push the ball a little bit more downfield because he hasn't had a real turnover for the past 3-4 games. They want him to push the ball down the field a little bit, and be a little bit more. Now, that's a can of worms. You get him to open it up a little bit, he could turn into Soupy Sales, and he goes totally clown on us. And, that man went over some of you young folks' head. You may,
Yeah.
you don't want him to totally go goofy on us. That's what I mean by that. You tell him to open it up a little bit, and he starts going nuts. We still have to be, still have to be somewhat, careful with what we do. It's what he does, in the pocket there, and not get too nuts. But that's kind of the double-edged sword when you're dealing with him. He can be spectacular on the move and, extending plays, but we've seen him also on the backside of that make some bad plays and turn the ball over and do some things. So
just
this would be
force
good
the ball where he doesn't need to force it.
There you go. And this is a game, that will definitely watch because has this guy Musket, and this could be a Musket game, especially if this is a game that UVA should be favored in, and if they're down because of mistakes from the quarterback position, you may see a Musket. You may have a Musket appearance come in here. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll be there. Kickoff is at noon, right, Wood?
Yep.
Early game, early. I know a lot of people don't like those early games, but what's cool about those early games? Well, what's cool about the early games is you can get your game in, for the day, and then have the rest of your day to go do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You can still go out and have a good time and go to your wineries and all that extra stuff you love doing in Charlottesville. Get your football in, and then yeah, they do. And go do what else you want to do. And then have a nice dinner after the game, but yeah. So, another interesting and retrospective show from the Seven City Shoptalk Sports team. I mean, this one goes deep. This episode goes a little deep. And so some people may not always agree with what we're talking about. They may not even want to hear it. But it needs to be said somewhere. Just let them know that we kind of are starting to pioneer it. What are we going to do as a football program? Are we going to, sell our souls to the football gods? Or are we just going to complain because we didn't get 6 wins and half fill the stadium? That's my monologue. What you got, Wood, on your closing monologue?
No, man, you're exactly right. We complain the stadium's half empty. We're winning 4 games a year, but we're not a big player. But we talk like we are. But like you said, we're wine and cheese. We're drinking a few beers for the game, and we're packing it at 25,000.
And we're leaving at halftime. And a lot of us are leaving then, right?
No, we pretend like we're a somewhat big time football program, but we're not. But the question is, will we pony up? Will we be, or we'll just keep bitching about it?
Keep bitching about it. There you go. We should get some t-shirts made. Keep bitching about it. We'll keep bitching about it on the back. Have our UVA logo. We'll keep bitching about it.
5 and 7. Keep bitching about it.
There it is. That's what I want. Signed Wood. C Wood. And put your signature under that shit. Go ahead and give me your closing monologue, brother.
I think it can be done. Maybe we spend some time with the folks at Stanford. Cal has a pretty solid program. USC, UCLA. How are they doing it? What are they doing? What are they doing as far as the academics?
Penn State.
Yeah. Penn State will be a great one.
They're similar to us.
What are you doing academically to draw these kids in? Are you just throwing money at them and expecting them to be smart enough to use it correctly, or are you offering them something? What are you doing different that we're not doing?
And
you have to have a little humility to say, okay, maybe we do sell the football players a little short. Maybe they're not big dumb jocks. Some of them probably are, but not all of them. A little more respect for what it means to be a student athlete. It's not just wind them up and roll them out there. Those kids are carrying a full load and playing a sport. Most kids struggle just to carry the full load. So, credit where credit is due. Ease up on the kids a little bit. That doesn't mean you hold them to a lower standard, but maybe you don't put the ceiling, the expectations right up here. Maybe it's right here, and that's not a bad thing. But they've always had that struggle between the academics and the jocks. It's the academics just don't respect the jocks, and vice versa.
Sure. But when you got a school like James is saying, like Penn State, they're a blue blood, and they're a blue blood for a reason. They have great football pageantry and tradition. So rubber's going to have to meet the road somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Rubber's going to have to meet the road where you can say, sure, we got a lot of, geek squads running around here, but you know what? We're filling that stadium and we're putting money in the school's pocket, and we're going to continue that tradition, and you guys keep doing your nerd thing over here. And next thing you know, it all grows together. But the school has to be the catalyst behind that. They have the funds for it. They have it.
Penn State is a blue blood that has two of our coaches we wouldn't pay also, by the way.
Yeah, and probably four of our 5 stars from the state of Virginia. 3 of our 4 stars and 4 of our 5, something crazy like that.
And 2 coaches.
Yeah, and 2 coaches who really, I don't want anything to happen to Coach Elliott either, but let's say he's relieved of his duties. Would they even come back here? You think about that part. Would them guys even want to come back after what happened with them already with the school?
If we put the money up, yeah.
James is saying normally
a lot of things.
He says normally I'm way more positive. I appreciate the dialogue. Think about UVA basketball tournament appearances outside of the time we won the entire championship. Every time we were jinxed, Syracuse lost haunts me. Yes, it does. Absolutely. Basketball, we're going to have to get into that basketball next week because that's another, like I said, small elephant in the room.
Yeah.
I am going to be like watching this like a hawk. I get it. I'm going to be watching what what Coach Sanchez does on the field, on the court, watching the players. I'm going to watch how UVA, the fan base, reacts to this. I got to see it. I want to see, are they going to be as supportive of this program without Tony? Are people going to not start showing up?
I think it's going to be a wait and see.
Look, win or lose. I think even if he wins, they're gonna short. Because I just kind of think what's going on in football, basketball is kind of like a microcosm of that. But I'll hold my judgment until I go through at least a year of it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Let's see what it looks like.
But I made that statement though. But woo, what a show, guys! What a show! This has been awesome. Got a little deep, got a little personal. Maybe cut a little too deep for some folks, but this is like my man James said, this is some dialogue that needs to be talked about, with the UVA fan base. What are we? Are we willing to do what it needs to be done to be a top football program in the nation? We got the resources. Are we willing to shuck our persona of what we are, get a little dirty? Because that's what happens. You got to get a little dirty to be a high-end football program. I don't care who you are. You know, somebody somewhere in all programs has some mud on their hands. You know, and are we willing to get some mud on our hands to be, considered a top program in the nation? I don't know. My man Kevin's saying if Sanchez wins first round in the NCAA, he'll be an instant legend. Gosh. All right. Listen, we got to reserve. Listen, great.
That's such a bar a little low, I think.
Listen, we got to save that one, Kevin. Keith, because that's a great statement. Let's just save that for next week because I promise you, we will talk basketball next week. Okay.
Put a thumbtack in that one.
That. Yeah, put a thumbtack on that one and bring that back to me. Say, remember this statement, and we'll talk about that. That's great because I don't know if he is or not, but we're not going to get into it right now. That's a great statement, and I want my folks in the chat to comment on that as well. But it's been great. It's been awesome. Another great show with my host here. I'll be there. I'll be in the West Gate, roaming around a little bit by the press box. So if you guys are going to be around, let me know. Hit me up. Send me a message in Messenger. I may even meet you downstairs, maybe get you a hat or something. But before we go any further, we got to thank all of you. We love you guys for hanging out, spending time with us, and giving us some heartfelt ideas, from what you got and how you guys feel about the program and where you guys think we should go moving forward as we do. But we got to thank you for hanging out with us. But as of now, the shop is closed. Thank you, guys. We will be back next week, and I will see you guys on Saturday. Pre-game, post-game, and walk-in show, and halftime. Thank you, guys. 7 City Shop Talk is out. Thank you so much, and wahoo-wah.
Good night, everybody.